You're going to see this in some of your programs. Concentric, in this example, is when the muscle is shortening. So if these are my muscle fibers right here, my fingers, as I bend my elbow, they contract and they ball up. All right, same thing happens when during the concentric portion of a bench press. That's the lifting portion. That's the up portion of a squat, a deadlift, chin up. All those times my muscles go from a long position to a shortened position. So as I press with my arms, my pecs contract in. Isometric contractions is when we're at zero velocity. So as I reverse a squat and I'm in the quad parallel position, no matter how quickly I come back up, at one point in time, as I go down and I reverse that movement, I'm at zero velocity. Now, generally speaking, we try to minimize that unless we're doing isometric squats, but that isometric contraction is basically when you're holding everything still. A couple of important things to know about the isometric contraction is when you do isometric, so as we'll build into the program, we'll do isometric front squats where we'll hold for a 3-second position there at the bottom. You get a strength transfer of 15 degrees around that range of motion. So as I squat and I get my quad parallel position, I hold it here, I'm actually getting a 15-degree transfer up and below this position. So I'm actually not just building strength in that specific position, but a variance of that as well. Another thing to remember is, and this is in particular true of the squat, when you train isometrically, what you're doing is you're creating more stability in the bottom. So as that pertains to like a really heavy squat, if we're doing a 3RM or 5RM, if you have any instability as you go from the lowering position up to the up position, so as I come here, if I have any kind of stability and I lose wiggle or whatnot, I'm having a leakage of power. And that's power that I can now not transfer into the bar. So the more stable I am in the bottom of my squat, the more power I'm going to have on the upward motion. Same thing is true of the bench press, because we do a tap and go. We don't do the pause that is a competition. You know, it transfers to a lot of different movements that way. Same thing on the reversal of a pull-up. So that's one of the main things of why we'll include some isometric work into your strength program. Eccentric, so once I'm balled up and my muscle fibers are shortened, as I extend my arm, my muscle fibers lengthen. Okay, so if you think about it in terms of the bench press, as we're coming down, the muscle fibers are like this. As we're coming down, we are stretching them out. We're creating what they call stretch reflex or energy potential. So a lot of times what will happen is guys they'll get under a weight that's a 5-rep max, or even a little heavier, and they'll say, oh God, this is heavy in my hands, and they start doing this really slow. Well, what happens is they're reducing the tension created by that eccentric. So you'll often hear me say things like, down quick, up fast. I don't want you to drop it, okay? I want you to come down quick on about a 1 count, so you're maximizing that stretch reflex and that energy potential for us to reverse the movement. Is this all making sense? Okay, let me know if it's not. I mean, I've been studying this for over 20 years, and I'm trying to spit it at you, in a few minutes. So feel free to ask questions as we go. Okay, another couple things to know about the eccentric contraction is because as I lower the weight, so we will do some eccentric work. You guys already have that in your program with the front squats, the RDLs. One of the reasons we do that is increased time under tension while pulling those muscle fibers apart does a lot more damage to the muscle fiber. Why is that important? What does damaged muscle fiber lead to if you properly recover?
Adaptation.
Adaptation, which is?
Gains.
Gains of hypertrophy.
Hypertrophy.
There you go. Hypertrophy meaning muscle mass gains. So eccentric work has been directly linked to once you recover, having greater mass gains than not focusing on eccentric work and then just training traditionally. So another reason we do that is when I'm in that, and we saw this when Snyder did the manual resistance with me, when I'm in that shortened position. So if my arm is here and somebody tries to pull it this way, I'm up to 40% stronger holding against that than I am if you start with my arm here and you pull this way. You guys probably feel that a lot when you're in your combatives. You know you're in a strong position in here, but if you get that arm extended, and you're fighting off an arm bar,